This is going to be a quick video about materials and how to add a material as well as use it in the scripting file that we've been looking at so far in class. Apologies for the crappy audio quality. So the first thing I do is I open a new animation, new project. I click new. And I'm going to go right to the scripting tab over here, and I want a new script. If you don't see the scripting tag, you might need to click and drag this bar up here. I'll click new, and this is going to be the file where I write my code. Now, you don't have to write everything. Well, first off, first thing we're always going to do is import bpy, Blender Py. And then from there, the other thing I mentioned, we're going to go back to my example that I've provided in this link from class. The second thing I want you to do every time is select all the objects and delete everything. This means is that every time you run your code, you're going to be starting from a fresh slate. This means that if you just send me your project and just run the code, then more or less everything's going to work if I just hit this run button. So this is just a good development practice. This isn't how Blender is used normally, but for our class, we're going to focus on this. So let's see if we run this. You can see I've got a camera and a cube and a light. And if I run this, all of these get deleted. So that's good, actually. That's what we want to do. And then we're going to add everything back in. For now, what I want to do is add a... I'm going to add a cube, and we'll remember every time you have an interaction, the command's going to pop up here, so we can copy that, paste it in here. And we don't need any of these extra parameters, so we're just going to add a cube. And if we run this, we should get the same thing. There we go. Okay, that's great. And as I showed before, if we want a bunch of cubes, we're going to, add a bunch of cubes in a loop. And we'll just need to adjust the location, and the locations should somehow use the, let's do zeros here, why not, the loop variable here, and this will give us a line of these things. And I think maybe if we do, let's try size gets 1. Nice, okay, and let's make them even smaller, 0.8. And then we get a little bit of space between all of these cubes. That looks kind of good. I kind of like that. Nice. Okay. The next thing that I want to do is add a material. So once we have our objects here, if we go to our render tab, well, actually, hold on. We don't have a camera. So we're going to want to add a camera. And now we could add the camera through here. I could click this button and then copy the command. But remember, I've also given you this handy little example over here. So we know that the camera add is going to use this command. Let's add the camera first. There's our camera. Now, the thing you'll notice about this camera is that it's kind of not pointing in the right direction. We're not going to be able to see anything. So let's move the, I'm just going to do this manually for now. We're going to move the camera up a little bit, and I notice, yeah, like 5, 0, -5, maybe. Where'd our camera go? Oh, it's down there. Maybe I wanted +5. There we go. Okay, so now our camera is pointing, giving us an overhead view of these cubes that we drew. So that's that should be good. Maybe I'll offset these a little bit. There, I think we'll still be able to see them. I think we can click this camera button. Oh, we're not going to see them like that. Let's do 1 here and make this maybe 10. Okay, cool. Oh, that's not really what we were looking for. I wanted make this 3 again to make this one 8. There we go. Okay, the camera sees a little bit of the cubes. Good enough. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do, that we've got a camera set up and we've got our cubes. If I go to my render tab and I render an image, You can kind of see the cubes here, but you can't see them too well. So in order to view these cubes a little bit better, there's two things that we want to do. If we go to our shading tab, this will show us, and we can go here and then click on world. We can see that we have our world output and we have this sort of gray background. So if I change it to, I don't know, some sort of greenish background and make it a little bit more neon, then when I go back to, let's go back to scripting and I do my render again, we're going to be in this green background. Okay, this is good, but now my cubes are also green. My cubes, I'd like these to have some different color. So I want to apply a material to these cubes. So let's try and do that. So the way that we will add materials, and there's lots of ways to do it, but just grab one of these cubes and you can click on it and you can see it's highlighted here. And now that we have this cube selected, we'll go down to this button over here. And this is the materials editor for this particular cube. And if I was to click on this one, you can see now I'm working on cube 1. So it doesn't matter which one you do. You can click on any of these cubes and we're going to make a new material. This one is now going to be called material 1, and I guess it's going to be some sort of white cube. Let's make it bluish, I think. Maybe something like this, so that we can tell the difference. There's lots of other options here. The metallic option is a fun one to play with, as well as the roughness. So let's go with this. And if we go back to our render, okay, we've got one cube that looks a little bit different now. That's the one that we just added a material to. It's not blue, but we haven't added light yet. Lights are a separate issue, but at least we can see this thing. And we can see that the we're getting a different color here. I think maybe if I were to turn down metallic, I think we're reflecting a lot of the green background. No, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, whatever. We need lights for this to really work, but this is good enough for now. And what I want to show you is how to add the material to all of the cubes. So this is called material 01, and you might be able to see this file browser here, and you can see we've got this material 001 now because we've added it to one of these cubes. Here's the interesting thing. If I rerun my script, I still have that material. It's not, that cube doesn't have the material anymore. I need to put the material back on my cube. But the material still exists. So this part where we selected all of the objects and deleted them did not delete the materials because materials aren't objects. And that's fine for us. We could actually fully automate this, automate the construction of the material and delete it every time. But for now, let's just say we only deleted the objects. The materials stick around every time we run our script. So we're gonna, we can now apply this material to one of our objects. And the best way to do that is, I've got a little piece of code here from last time I did this. Is to append it to the item. So you can see every time, what I'm doing in this code is every time I add a, in this case, a sphere, I'm taking the object that I'm talking about, which is a sphere I just added, and I'm going to append my material to that. So let's grab this bit of code, and I'm going to say every time I add a cube, I'm going to take the context that I'm currently in, which is the object I just added, and I'm going to look at that, the data of that object, and in particular the materials data, and I want to append a new material, which is going to be, we want to add material 1. So now if I run this, every cube that I created should have a material, and you can see that here. So if I click on any of these guys, cube 3 has material 1. So that is fantastic. Now, if I go to render and render image, all of my cubes have that material. if we were to, why don't we just do this really quickly? Let's add a light. I'm going to add a point light, and so I'm going to turn the power up to something crazy to make sure we can actually see it. And let's just render this. Oh, well, there's the light, and it's just lighting up the front of these cubes. So maybe if I move the light a little bit, okay, this is getting to the point where we should just put it into code instead. Yeah, here's my light, and I want to, change the location. I want to just bring it up a little bit. And I need to adjust the power. Here we go. This is going to let me set the energy to 5,000 of that light. So let's run the script, and I've got a light. Let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. Now we've got our blue cubes that are lit up by the light that we added using that material in this background. So this is the basic strategy you should use for, you're going to add our camera, add our lights, and then every time we make our cube, we're going to add that material. And the way to create this material initially, again, is to click on one of your cubes and just add the material here. We could add new material and then click new, and then this will create material 2. And we could use that one. So just pay attention to the name that gets created, and it's always going to be material 0.00, whatever material you've created, and you can add that to your objects in your code. Cool.